cross. John 19:28 simply says, after this, Jesus, knowing that all things were now accomplished, that the scriptures might be fulfilled, said, I thirst. Simply saying, I am thirsty. Simply saying, I want something to drink. So he said, I thirst on the cross because he was thirsty for you and for me. Somebody better say amen right there. But if I would have to give this a subject, or if I would have to give this a title, I would use this word, quench my thirst. I need my thirst quenched. It's got to be somebody in here this evening that need your thirst quenched. Quench my thirst. Quench my thirst. My brothers and my sisters, I have spoke to a medical examiner who has told me that death on the cross, death by crucifixion, is the most agonizing death that there could ever be. He said that it's agonizing because it does three things to that person's body when they're dying on the cross. Now, Jesus had already been whooped. He had already been flogged. He had already been talked about and mistreated. He already had his beard pulled out. And he was tired and he was exhausted because they had whooped him all night long. Now, the medical examiner said he should have been dead right there. He should have made it up Calvary to Golgotha Hill. But he said because God wanted to save him for the cross, that we'll have a cross to bear. Somebody better say amen. That we'll know that we must bear our cross. So he had to hang on the cross for you and for me. When he was dying on the cross, the medical examiner said that it was so agonizing that he should have died by asphyxiation. Y'all know what I'm talking about right there, right? He should have just choked to death. He should have been not able to breathe. Somebody better say, I can't breathe. But it didn't stop right there because he kept on pushing up with his feet, until he was able to speak the 7 last words. Now, I don't know about y'all today, but if you know the death process, if you have ever seen anybody die, you know that they can't hardly utter a word. Not only are they not thirsty, but they can't talk. But because God wanted to leave us a message, because God wanted to say a word to us, he let Jesus. He was stressed out, but he kept on pushing up. His muscle was in his stomach against his diaphragm that caused his chest to basically collapse where he couldn't breathe. But it didn't stop there, because the Bible said that he uttered the words, I thirst, because his arms were stretched out wide. His legs were pinned to the cross. But what happened right there was his heart began to race, called a rapid response. Somebody know about a rapid response, because that could cause you to have a cardiac arrest. So the Bible, he should have had a heart attack, Dr. Larkin. He should have died right there, but he didn't die. He lifted up his head and said, I thirst. But I stopped by first CME and said he wasn't thirsty for a drink. Because if you remember when he was in the wilderness, he was there 40 long days and 40 long nights. He didn't have anything to eat, Reverend Winters. He didn't have anything to drink. But he wasn't tempted by the devil. He just walked through the desert. He just walked through the wilderness. He didn't ask for anything to drink. So he wasn't dying on the cross talking about thirsty for water. Because if you remember when he was at the well with the lady There was a Samaritan. You know what happened right there, right? He asked her, give me something to drink. She said, what do you want with me, master? Somebody think they can't ask God for something to drink. But when he was there, dying on the cross, he left this with his disciples. Each time, talking about the communion supper now, each time you eat of the bread, you better remember me. Each time you drink of the blood, you better remember. Each time you drink, you better take a drink. Talk about a new covenant drink. Talking about a new covenant drink. Talking about the blood. Somebody better say blood. Talking about the blood. Talking about the blood. So he wasn't talking about something to drink like we think he was talking about. But he was talking about what it's going to take for me and for you to get to that cross. He was talking about we better drink of righteousness. Somebody say righteousness. We better drink, just like he told that woman at the well, of living water. He talking about you better drink. He talking about you better drink. How? Because he gonna wipe away your tears. He gonna wipe away all of your tears. You're never gonna thirst. You're never gonna be hungry.
All right.
Because he can quench your thirst. He can quench your thirst. She went down a whole octave. He can quench your thirst. Jesus, he is a thirst buster. Jesus, he is a thirst quencher. Jesus, just like Coca-Cola, he is. Somebody help me say he is. He is the real. He is the real thing. Just like Powerade, he get all on the inside. Don't know what Powerade said. He get down on the inside of you because he is. He can quench my thirst. Somebody said, quench my thirst. Somebody say, Jesus, 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 Jesus. Y'all don't feel like it, do you? Jesus, quench my thirst. I'm starting at the Mr. Morrison. Let us all stand.